thank you, Minister Sherelle. I really appreciate you inviting me to your platform. As you know, as she introduced me as Dr. Josephine Harris, you may call me Dr. Joe. I am the founder of Common Minds LLC, as well as the president of the Herpreneur Network. Today, I'm going to really talk about the silent struggle from a mental health perspective, whether a caregiver going through depression, fear, anxiety, isolation, exhaustion. One of the things is caregiver depression is one of the today's silent health crisis. Let me repeat that. Caregiver depression is one of today's silent health crisis. Don't you know 20% of family caregivers suffer from depression? That's twice the rate of the general population. Caregivers are not depressed because they're providing the care for their loved ones, but in an effort to give the best care possible to their loved ones, they sacrifice their own physical, emotional needs. I'm going to repeat that. Caregivers sacrifice their own personal, physical, and emotional needs. I'm going to say that one more time. Caregiver sacrifice their own physical and emotional needs. And as a result, they become angry, they have anxiety, they become sadness, they even isolate themselves from the world, and sometimes they become exhausted. They also have guilt for having these feelings from taking, which was take a toll on their mental, emotional, and ultimately causes physical health. So while caregivers often have faced many challenges, I'm gonna be transparent. I'm also a caregiver for my father, and he has dementia. And I'm a traveling caregiver, which is totally different because I stay in the state of Washington and he stayed in Georgia. So oftentimes we as caregivers have to travel to our loved ones, whether it's far, near, whether they live by you, whether they live in another state. But for me, as a traveling caregiver, I also can be suffering with silent depression. And when I came up with this topic of silent struggling, I was thinking about how does that affect our mental health today? So with my story, and I come from a mental health perspective, I'm a caregiver who travels back and forth to Georgia every so often. So when I first found out and dealt with my father as having earlier dementia, I had to recognize and understand my mental health is important as well as his mental health. So I had to deal with my mental health as a professional as well as a caregiver. So I had to often go back and forth to Georgia so that I can make sure that his needs are met. So I had to really search for a caregiver that can step in when I'm not in the presence of I'm not in the presence of him. Because I stay in Washington State and he stays in Georgia, I had to really delegate some of that time to another caregiver that can come into the home and help me out while I'm not there. So I'm gonna give you some really good techniques that's coming from a mental health perspective of what you should do in dealing with your mental health and going through the silent struggle, which is depression, which can take a toll on your mental health, emotional health, and physical health. The number one thing you really have to do, you have to assess where you are now. You really have to assess where you are now because that's going to really help you go through the motion of understanding why I'm becoming depression, why I become depression, why I have the depressed modes. So you have to evaluate, how are you doing today? Know where you are, know where you stand emotionally and mentally. Take a moment, find a quiet place, and take that caregiver self-assessment. When I mean caregiver self-assessment, I mean assess your whole mentally and physically mind. Assess your body. Assess your mentally and emotional. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling sad? Are you overwhelmed? Do you need some help? And seek the guidance and help that you need. Because you have to really reflect on your feelings of how honest your feelings are. What are those feelings? Are you stressed? Do you need the help that you need? Do you need to seek professional help? So honestly, seek out those feelings. Be in tune with your feelings. How you feeling today? How you feeling tomorrow? What about the next day? How are you going to plan so that you can assess how you feeling in the now? The next one I'm going to talk about is make time for yourself. A lot of us, like some of the other speakers said, make time for yourself. A lot of us don't really think about ourselves, and we become overwhelmed. And then you start to feel, like I said, you have that silent struggle of depression. You fall into the depression state where you don't want to be bothered, where you isolate yourself from everybody. And then if you're depressed, how are you going to help someone else? So you have to really recognize making time for yourself. And let me tell you, it's not easy, but it's a must. Making time for yourself is a must. Taking time away from caregiving to maintain friendships, social contracts, social network, professional network. So have that time that you make for yourself, that you seek the help that you need, that you can also implement family members to help you out as well. So you guys can put each other on the schedule of which one's going to help out this week, which one's going to help out next week, and so forth. Pursue hobbies. Get them hobbies and activities that you enjoy. Because sometimes when we be silent and it becomes a struggle for us. Sometimes we isolate ourselves from the world, from the social environment, so from the social network. But most important, get that social network in your life. Exercise regular. Now, this is a big challenge for a lot of caregivers. We really neglect our health, our exercise level. One of the most important things is that exercise, because that's going to help you to relieve a lot of tension in your body, to get back healthy. And think about it. We all have genetics that trickle on down to us. So being healthy will prevent those. Do preventative medicine, being healthy, taking care of your health. Like you go to the doctor to take care of your physical health. You can go to a mental health professional to take care of your mental and emotional health. Another thing, get plenty of sleep and rest. Plenty of sleep and rest, like the other speaker said, plenty of sleep and rest will help you, because if you're not well rested, some of these can be affected by your mentally and emotional status and your mental and emotional stability. And sometimes you get so drained that you become mentally drained, that you don't have enough energy to even care for your loved ones, to even care for that friend, to even be a caregiver to yourself. Because most important thing is that we have to look at our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health. So make sure that you in tune with all of those. Find activities that bring you joy and restore balance in your life. One of the things that I deal with my activities, I love to write. So I'm a writer. As you know, I'm a best-selling author. That's one of the things that I enjoy. I enjoy writing, and I enjoy writing affirmation. That's what brings me joy. So you really have to find something that you enjoy doing. So that's making time for yourself, so you don't lose that joy while caregiving for your loved ones, because caregiving is the most difficult things to do. And we go through it all the time, whether you care for your loved ones, whether you're a grandmother, whether you're a mother, at some point you are a caregiver. So making sure that you get the rest and the sleep that you need is very important. And one of the most important ones that I've dealt with is protecting that peace. You have to really, really in tune protecting your peace. Avoid negative people, negative activities, avoid negative situations that cause you stress. One of the things I deal with is I practice mindfulness meditation and mindfulness exercise. My mindfulness meditation, my mindfulness exercise is prayer and reading my Bible. So I spend time with the Almighty God that really, really tunes my mental health, really put me in a place where I am at peace and where I protect my peace, so that I can be the best caregiver for my father, I can be the best caregiver for my grandkids, as well as the caregiver for my husband. Because as you know, being a military spouse and going through very obstacles in our life is very difficult for us as well. Believe it or not, at one point, if you have a military that's a soldier member that's serving in the military, at one point in your life, you're going to be that caregiver. Whether they retire or whether they continue on with their career, you still are going to be the caregiver, because sometimes as being a military spouse, we deal with a lot of mental health within the dynamic of the family, like PTSD, anxiety, depression. So sometimes we as caregivers, we have to recognize the signs and the symptoms of being a silent struggle with depression. So be careful with that. Make time for yourself. Protect your peace, understanding your feelings. Have a sense of humor. That is the most important thing. And you know, I do have a sense of humor. My smile, and I am yet fabulous. Yes. So have that sense of humor. Get some laughter, because laughter is the key to a very sensible soul. Laughter is the key to your soul. So get some laughter to protect your peace in the dynamic that you are in. The very last thing that I really want to really point out is establish a very positive support system. Finding someone that you can talk to with about your feelings, letting those feelings go, and making sure that you feel those feelings, letting them go is very important with a strong support system and network to cope with different challenges that you might be going through as a caregiver. Making sure that you can consult with a mental health professional if needed, making sure that, because sometimes we have a stigma on searching for a professional mental health professional, because it's stigma that we are caregivers, and most of the time people don't understand that mental health people in your life is there for a reason. So seek out the professional help that you need, because most important, they are going to help you navigate through the challenges and navigate through the struggles that you're having and the reality of caregiving, because it's okay to not be okay sometimes. But guess what? You don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay stuck. So seek the professional help that you need in order for you to be the best caregiver and to be the best version of yourself. Become acquainted with support resources. Get some support resources. Develop a community of caregivers in your community. Get some support or resource within that community will help make you the best possible caregiver of them all. So develop a strong support system with a network of friends. Sometimes with caregivers, we take on so much and don't understand the importance of a support system and delegating. Sometimes we think that other people's cannot help us, but let people help you. If they offer the help, accept the help, because that's very important, because they're supporting you as a caregiver. So help them to help you to be the best version of you. Also, network with your family members. Some family members will step in and help you trade out places and come see it, and come visit your caregiver, visit your loved ones who you care for. Make sure that you can count on them. Make sure that y'all have a plan of support network system. Make sure that you have a network system of resources for your loved one. Sometimes if your loved one can go out the house, get out the house, give them a network of resources, give them to a community that will help them so that they won't be stuck in the house. Like they have elderly care that comes to the house, or they have activity that you can go to a organization or the facility with other people their age. So give them that opportunity so that you can be the best version of the caregivers as you are too. Look to connect with other caregivers. Build that relationship. Maintain positive relationship where it shares support. So sometimes we tend to veer away from letting other caregivers help us and connecting with other caregivers. But the most important thing is getting connected with other caregivers, getting the resources, because they might have the resources that you need and you might have the resources that they need. These are a few suggestions that will help you through your caregiving world, that will help you through your mental health world. And don't remember, you don't have to be the silent struggler. You don't have to silent struggle by yourself. You don't have to struggle by yourself. So it's help out there and be the best caregiving version of yourself. Remember, your mental health matters. Your mental health really do matters. And thank you all for listening and appreciate it. And I do appreciate Minister Sherelle giving me the opportunity. And you can find me on all social media as Dr. Josephine Harris. My website is www.commonmindsllc. Don't forget, remember, your mental health matters. Thank you, and y'all have a wonderful and blessed morning, afternoon, wherever you reside at. Thank you.